if we just wait a minute for the YouTube to start, which it has started. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So listen, guys, just before we get into this live stream, I'm making no apologies. This morning it's going to be a relatively short live stream. I'm going to go away. I'm going to come back, and then we're going to do another live stream this afternoon when the protest is on in, well, I guess the march is on in London. There's obviously going to be events happening today through London, so I'm going to close this down relatively early today, guys, and then I'm going to go to the supermarket. I'm going to get some sandwiches, maybe even put some chicken nuggets in the air fryer. I'm going to come back. I'm going to do another live stream. What I want to talk about now in my opening monologue, excuse me. What I want to talk about is I've been talking about this for a while, how I feel that masses of British countryside are going to be given for free. Just there you go, guys. There you have it. For free to migrants. Now, I've been talking about this for quite a while. I've been saying, look, there's something called in the United Kingdom. There's something called the adverse possession law. Now, the adverse possession law is if somebody's been on a piece of land and have been occupying a piece of land for 10 years or over, they can claim that themselves. So something came out on the mainstream today, and guys, look, this was so wild. This was so absolutely wild when I saw the pictures. I genuinely couldn't believe it. Honestly, I couldn't. So a small group calling themselves the Ancient African Tribe sets up a camp in the misty Scottish woods, claiming it's their ancestral home. Guys, I'm not making this up. This has really happened right now. All right, that's really happened. There's an African tribe. Well, there's an African tribe, and they've set up now in Scotland, claiming it as their ancestral homeland that was stolen 400 years ago. They've been ignoring eviction notices, defying court orders, and they've got a lot of TikTok followers with I think they've got over 100,000 followers. Now, sounds like some dystopian movie, right? No way, Bob. This is actually really happening now. This is real. Now, this is actually happening in Scotland. But what I think this is on a greater scheme of things, I think that in the future, there will be, potentially not this place in Scotland, but I will focus on this place in Scotland. There will be migrants who are going to claim they've been living in woods for 10 years. They will go to a legal firm collectively. That legal firm will say, yes, I will apply for adverse possession, and we will get that during this law. And that's what's coming, guys. And very soon, we're going to start to see masses, my opinion, masses of our countryside given to migrants. Woodland, countryside, streams, rivers, all our beautiful countryside, it's going to be given to, it's just going to be given away. I feel that's coming, guys. So this is, I'm talking now about the Kingdom of Kubala. I think that's what they're calling themselves, which is a self-proclaimed tribe of just 3 people. Kofi, who is 36-year-old from Ghana, who styles himself as king, and claims to be a descendant from King David the Messiah. Look, guys, I'm not going to call him out on that. If that's what he is, I don't know if he's got any documentation from that, but whatever. His wife Jean, who's 42, from Zimbabwe, who goes by the name Queen Nandi. I mean, look, guys, I want to be king. Can I not be King Raven, Lord of all men? And Kura, a 20-year-old African woman from Texas. So we've got a good range there of people, you know. Now, she was reported missing earlier this year. Anyway, so what I'm getting at here right now, guys, is just we have in the United Kingdom this case going through. Now, this is the one that is wild and it's bonkers, and there's like African tribes now living in Scotland claiming countryside. But what I'm getting at here is, as we move forwards and everybody's focusing over there, we're going to have, you know, maybe there's some people from Afghanistan, maybe there's some people from I don't know, wherever, and they're claiming that they've been living in Woodland in the United Kingdom, maybe Woodland where you live, and they're going to claim that. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been talking about this coming, and now I think we're starting to see this. I think we're starting to see this on its way. So what is adverse possession? I don't know if you guys know this or not. I've had a few dealings with this myself. So adverse possession or squatters' rights. I'm just going to try and explain this now, and put in the comments, ladies and gentlemen, put in the chat whether you think that migrants coming to the United Kingdom would like to be given free land. That's a simple question. Do you think migrants that are coming to the United Kingdom, when somebody says to them, hey, you guys have been living in that woods, yes, if you sign this document, say that you've been living there for 10 years, I can I can fill out to the courts and I can give you that land for free. What do you think they're going to say? Do you think they're going to say, oh, yes, please? Or do you think they're going to say, do you know what? That's dishonest. No, I don't want that. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, adverse possession, squatters' rights. It's an ancient law in the UK that lets someone without a deed claim ownership of land if they occupy it openly, continuously, and without permission for a long time. The idea to reward people for using neglected land and settle old disputes. But it's not a free-for-all. It is tough to pull off. But if you've got a legal system and you understand the legal system and you meet all those guidelines, that land is yours, ladies and gentlemen. So physical control, you need to claim that there's physical control around it. So a fencing, if you've been farming it, if you've been acting like the landowner. Intent to possess, shutting out the real owner and everyone else. No position, straight up trespassing. You've got to have that for 10 years. Now, guys, look, I'm just, because intent, you could claim, I think people could already start to claim this, guys. I really do. I think there will have been migrants in the United Kingdom right now. I can guarantee people will be looking at this. So if the land is registered, if this land is registered to, I don't know, Lord Raven of the 5th Dynasty, and somebody has been on that land for 10 years, they can put this claim in. If they've been on that land for 12 years, that flips automatically to them. So if they claim they've been on that land for 12 years, they can claim it's them. They can claim it's theirs. Squatting in homes is a criminal offence in 2012. We're not talking about homes, guys. We're talking about masses of countryside. But woodland and fields, ladies and gentlemen, that's just civil trespass. And the worst you can get is an eviction or an eviction notice. Now, we've got this guy, the Kabbalahs. They've been there for weeks, not years. So right now, there's zero there's no chance right now of the Kabbalahs. Is it Kabbalahs? I think it's Kabbalahs. The Kabbalahs getting that land. But I'm using the Kabbalahs, so you guys have seen this. You guys have seen this in the news. So the Kabbalahs are in Scotland. They're claiming land. I'm using that as a hook. But I believe there's other parts of the United Kingdom, woodland, old pieces of land that, people were just going to claim they've been on for 10 years, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, we came to this country, we left the hotels, and we're living in this woodland. So I do think that's coming. Now, why does this matter? Why does this matter? In reality, I think the Kabbalahs will be getting out. But what it's doing is it's opening up this conversation about adverse possession. And I was talking about this months ago. But what I think this is going to be doing now is anybody who's watching this Kabbalahs in Scotland, people are going to be thinking, oh, hang on a minute. So the Kabbalahs can claim land. Yes. And there's something called adverse possession in England. Yes. Well, if I say I've been living in woods for 10 years, can I put a legal claim into it? Yes. Oh, well, I've been living in those woods for 10 years. Okay, fill out those documents. I'll get funding from this charity and we'll try and get that land to you. I do see it coming, guys. I really do see it coming. It's good. It's going to be absolutely outrageous when it happens, And when I say these wild things, when I was talking about it, excuse me, I was saying like a long time ago, I was saying, look, I think we're going to see a point very soon where masses of our land are given just given to migrants. Because you've got to understand the amounts of subversion that are getting thrown on us at the moment. So right now here in the United Kingdom, our legal system, I've talked about the legal system. I believe we have judges that have been either subverted or they're part of the problem, and a lot of these judges are Fabian judges. So what you would do is, if you want to cause distrust, if you want to make the country go absolutely bonkers and crazy, you would just start giving away patches of countryside to migrants, and then there can be a little Afghani woods over there in the middle of Derbyshire, part of the Lake Districts, that can be like a little Somalian woods, and only the Somalians are allowed into it. And this is how the segregation of the divisional lines. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to come onto the chat now. I'm going to go on TikTok. First comment. Hi, mate, you good new jumper. So, yes, it's not a new jumper. It's quite an old jumper. I thought I'd wear it because it's a 90s jumper. And this is how we used to roll in the 90s, guys. We just I don't know. With a TFG jumper, don't even know what it means. It's like it's like a wild brand. I don't know, guys, what TFG means. I'm just owning it, guys. I'm owning it because I'm in solidarity and I want to go back to the 90s. Right, let me jump up and get all these comments. Should I start wearing horrific jumpers, guys? I don't know. I've got some pretty horrific jumpers. When I was in Ukraine a couple of years ago, there was you get like a lot of humanitarian aid coming, and there was these big pallets turned up with like clothes, and the Ukrainians they're like, oh, we don't want that clothes. And I was like, what, really? Anyway, I would rifle through those clothes, and I got some really powerful jumpers, guys. I did. I got some absolutely powerful jumpers. This is not one of them. Google It is saying, hey, hello, Google It. We've got Ken Mutty, we've got Amarie Garland, Rose, Julie, Humble, none of the above. Google is saying Starmer defended Mandelson after officials knew about Epstein emails. BBC understands. Okay, so look, Google It. I think somebody's got fire in the field. Google here is saying about Starmer defending Mandelson after he knew about the Epstein emails. Well, look, guys, how many times have I said to you that there is a direct link that links Keir Starmer directly to Epstein, or Epstein, I think it is. So I would say Lord Ali used to work for Maxwell. Maxwell and Epstein are in the same circles. So I would say 100% that would happen. And I would say they're operating in the same gang. But that's just me speculating, guys. And do you know what? It's not even me speculating. That's me. Do you know what? That's not even me speculating. That's according to Wikipedia. So don't argue with me. Don't call me a conspiracy theorist. Literally, just look at Wikipedia. And if you want to take it what Wikipedia says, that's absolutely fine. If you want to call Wikipedia out for being a conspiracy theorist, write a letter to them. T is saying it's so busy in London already. So many people are live streaming. Yeah, I'm going to be live streaming that as well, guys. But obviously, I won't be in London. I'll have as many open screens as I can. I'll be trying to get the information, whatever information is happening. I'll try and get that to you. But look, guys, it's going to be a wild day, whatever happens. Like, if there are and I'm not talking about. Just real quick, we're going to talk about London now. So for those of you guys who don't know, if you're watching later on, or I don't know, today in London, there's, some estimates are 2 million people are going to be descending onto London today. Now, there are protests and counter protests and groups and counter groups. Like, the very minimum you're going to see, you're going to see some little scuffles. I'm not interested in any little scuffles. The thing I'm really worried about is a spectacular event. That's what I do believe. No, I don't believe. That's what I do, but that could happen. I'm not saying I believe it's going to happen. What I'm saying is some people will want a spectacular event in London today, guys. They will. And you'll see them all on social media laughing about it if it happens. Google it is saying new NATO mission to bolster eastern flank after Russian drone incursion. Yeah, it's this with the eastern flank. It's this whole industrialization of war, basically. And like I keep saying, here in the West, we are not ready for the we're not ready for an industrialized war. We have no idea what's coming, and we're still trying to get the best technology and spend the most money on the best equipment. And right now, we don't need that. We need standardization, and we need bulk mass. So we can, well, I guess so the West can defend themselves. Ultimately, when both sides build up great munition stores, the inevitable eruption will happen at some point. Daniel Payne is saying London looks amazing, Raven. I hope it still looks amazing this afternoon. Gene Prothero is saying good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Gene. Tracy McGregor is saying in Scotland, seen them so weird. Oh, Tracy McGregor, have you actually physically seen this tribe that's in Scotland? Have you listen, I'm not sure they're going to last the winter. I'm not sure they're going to last the winter. Let's just, I don't know how robust their tribal skills are, but I'm not sure they're going to last the winter. But what I think this does is it opens up that conversation, and it starts the alarm bells ringing. Whereby, if you've been living in a woodland for 10 years, or you claim to be living in a woodland for 10 years, you can claim something called adverse possession. So that's what I think is going to happen. Not particularly in this place in Scotland, but I think other parts around the United Kingdom, people will start to claim it. If you're a group of, for example, if you're a group of 10 migrants, right? Let's just say you're 10 migrants and you've been living in the woods for a couple of years. I think that's happening in places. And then a solicitor or a legal firm comes up to you and says, hey, mate, if you say you've been living there for 10 years and you've signed this document, I could put in an adverse possession law, and then that piece of land would be yours. You could do what you want with it. And they're like, what? And all I have to do is say I've been here for 10 years. Yes. What? And you give it me for free? Well, it's not free. I'd have to sign out some forms, but I'm getting money off this international donor. Oh, and then that goes through to a judge, and that judge is one of the Fabian guys. Of course, that's going to go through. So, I do think that's coming in the future, guys. I'm just trying to warn everyone off. Right, just going to get these questions, guys. Wow, there's loads of these comments just jumped up. Where did all those comments jump from? Yeah, done that one. Tracy McGregor is saying 1 man and 2 women. I know, listen, he's living his best life. Jody Lee saying morning. April Lee saying morning. Tracy McGregor is saying they best not do. Maybe we should all start doing that before they do. Unfortunately, Tracy, like if you did it, if you did that adverse possession, it would be unlikely that you would get that land. But what I'm saying is the United Kingdom, as it's massively subverted at the moment right now. Look, guys, this guy, is it Cambridge University or Oxford? The Jack Sparrow guy, he didn't even, so we've got this guy now in our universities, all right, with like the one who was laughing about Charlie, the one who was laughing, I don't want to keep mentioning his name. He didn't meet the standards to get into, I think it was Oxford actually. He didn't meet the standard to get into Oxford, but you know what? Because he was black, they said, oh well, you don't have to meet the standard. You can just come in anyway. That's literally what they said. Now, that to me means that white people have to work harder. Now, there's a word for that when you're discriminating against someone because of their color of their skin. I can't remember what it is. But I'm pretty sure there's a word for that. D. Marie Gen X is saying, morning all, morning to you, D. Marie Gen X. Rachel Samantha is saying, Sean, did you hear that yes, I'm just going to pin this. Yes, I did hear. Well, I didn't hear that. I heard they'd applied for it and they're trying to get this as, I don't understand US law. I think that sentence in Utah, they don't do that sentence in Utah. So I think what they're doing is they're trying to get this as a federal crime. Look, I don't want to comment on the US legal system because I clearly don't know. That's, as I understand it, that's what they're trying to do. But under federal law, because they're saying it's a federal offense, he can get that. He can get that penalty. D. Marie Gen X is saying, I don't know, Sean, that's a tough one. In response to what, the law or living out in Scotland? Tracy McGregor is saying, please don't say this. It's actually very, very worrying. No, guys, look, I'm being 100% serious, all right? The adverse possession law in the United Kingdom, if you've been living in some woodland for 10 years, or you're claiming it and nobody can counter that claim, you can apply to own that land. That's the law. So what I'm saying is, and I've been saying this for a long time since I started to see these people in these little tented cities in woods, I've said, right, at some point, I mean, let me just Google, when did the immigration crisis? Do you know what? No, look, let's say 2016, right? 2016, we voted for Brexit, right? And whether you agree with that or not, people voted for Brexit because they wanted to see less immigration. So let's just say next year's 2026, which it is, you know, shouldn't be controversial. That's your 10 years. Literally, that's your 10 years. So I would speculate, do you know what, guys? Maybe some of these claims are even going through now. Maybe some of these claims are going through now. That is the law in the United Kingdom. There's no way around it. No way around it at all. That is the law in the United Kingdom. If you can claim you've been on a piece of land and you've been using that piece of land for 10 years without the owner's permission, that becomes yours under adverse possession. That's the law, guys. All right. I'm not making it up. And what I think is going to happen is, you know how we saw all this, the countryside is, the countryside is racist. The countryside's it's not as diverse. You see now how the conversation slowly started to move, you know, oh, the countryside's racist. There's not enough, I don't know, diversity in the countryside. Do you know what would make the countryside really diverse? Yeah, you guys know, lots of countryside being given to migrant groups, and then those migrant groups can have their own little communities, their own little villages, and there you go, guys. That's happening. That's really real. And everything there is within the legal system. Everything I've just said is within the, everything I've just said there fits within the legal system, and nobody's breaking any laws. Sorry, guys, there's loads of comments this morning. Loads, actually. We've done that one. Google is saying Charlie Kirk being invoked to bolster the UK's largest far-right rally in decades. Yeah, I saw that headline as well. I kind of don't know what that means, that headline, but that's certainly what they're talking about. Tracy McGregor is saying we need to start changing our laws. We can't change our laws, Tracy McGregor. We're going by laws that are ancient and pathetic. Right, okay, everyone. Let's go out there and claim the countryside. We take it before the illegals do. You see, this would have to go through a judge, all right? Adverse possession will have to go through a judge. And that judge, if he's a Fabian judge, he's going to rule in favor of those migrants because he's a Fabian and he wants the Fabian society. It'd be very difficult for a native to do this. London's picking up, says Rachel Samantha. Mott Laurie C saying morning. You need to wear the powerful jumper, says Tracy. Snowdrops is saying, Sean, you should go live with someone who is in London today. They could join you live. Corey Reefin is saying, will you be live this evening? Yeah, so guys, look, I'm going to be live. I'm going to cut this live stream now relatively short. I am going to jump back on later on this afternoon. I think I'm going to, I think it starts. I think the march, everybody's been told to get there at 11:30. I think I'm going to be on there. I think I'm going to start a live stream at 12 or 12:30, you know, once things have started to move forward. And then I will stay on that live stream then as long as I deem it necessary. And then, of course, I'll be doing a live stream this evening at 8 as well. So, yes, I will be doing a live stream on the today, and I'll be focusing on what's happening in London. Martin Quinn is saying, good morning, all. They're doing the marches on the wettest day. Is it London? Is it raining? It's not raining here. Google is saying, apparently there's people from Spain, France, and other countries coming over. Martin Quinn is saying, all these nice people coming over on these boats will join our army to go to Ukraine. Maybe they will. I don't think they will. Not physically on TikTok. I don't know what that means, Tracy McGregor. My son sent me the government mass fatality resilience capability lot, 2 contracts, scary amounts. Yeah, it is. And when you think about a mass casualty event, for everyone, well, they're all going to be different, but they're all going to be different. But statistically, for every one person that transcends into a beam of light, you get 7 people with life-changing injuries. UK Veterans is saying there is a veteran in London who is homeless and he's live now. The police are trying to take his tent. Oh, why would you? Surely that's theft. Like, surely if you take something that's like belongs to another person, that's theft. Google is saying the tribe of Raven. Can't we have the kingdom of Raven? I'd rather have the kingdom of Raven. So here we are, look. So talking about, I think it was Tracy who lives in Scotland. So Tracy, here's what Martin's saying. So Martin Quinn is saying, I know somebody who claimed a woodland so they could look after the badgers. They got it. So yeah, this happens more often than you would think. People claim little. In fact, I know there's a guy. I used to go and get. In fact, thank you for reminding me. There's a guy. He lives. He lives like. I'm not going to tell you where he lives. He lives somewhere, and I used to go and buy logs off him. Now, what he's done. He bought a patch of land, and then when he bought that land, he took there was a little triangular woodland that belonged to the council. He just put a fence around it when he moved in, and that's his now. He's claimed that for adverse possession. So it happens, like Martin Quinn saying, it happens more than you'd think. Snowdrops is saying, yeah, a father on X said his daughter got better grades than that guy at Ox. Yeah. So look, guys, like this guy, Oxford University now are letting people in. Let me rephrase this. If you want to get in Oxford University now, you are discriminated against if you're white. I think that is fair to say. I don't think that's controversial. I think that's didactically correct. So there you have it, guys. So how many other universities... Like, how many other universities are saying, right, okay, you've got great grades, but you're not diverse enough. So we only want, it's just, I don't know. To me, it takes things away from people. Martin Quinn is saying it's worrying, but it's the truth. It's what's going on. Happy Christmas. If living in the countryside makes me racist, I've got a lot of black and brown friends. Yeah, I don't think how can the countryside be racist? And, you know, we are starting to see this drive, aren't we? This drive towards, I can just see this one coming, guys. I can just see this one coming. Snowdrops is saying, yeah, they should put them up in the Cotswolds. Lots of MPs have houses there. Martin Quinn is saying the storm's on the way. What, like a real storm? Or are we talking like a metaphysical storm? It clashed as theft or I don't know what that means, Martin Quinn. It classed as theft or taking without owner's consent. I don't know what that means. Corey Finn is saying they wouldn't be taking his tent if he was a different. Yeah. Oh, right. Okay. So we're talking about this guy's tent. Yeah. So we just heard that there's a veteran in London and the police are taking his stuff away from him. And I was saying, like, isn't there a word for it when you take something that's not yours? You know. April Lee is saying, yes, I've seen it in, I know about that University of Cambridge too. I don't live in Scotland. I've seen the tribe on TikTok. Google is saying there have been a joke going around MPs over the past week. 3 envelopes in Soviet R. I don't know what that means. There's been a joke going around Labour MPs over the past week about 3 envelopes in Soviet Russia. I don't know what that means. Whenever you run into trouble, open them in order. The instructions go, oh, right, okay, blame your predecessor. Sorry, right, okay. So when I used to work, this is how these liberals operate. So let me pin this. So this is how liberals operate. I used to work for an NGO and I was surrounded by liberals. I was surrounded by guys. And what I will say is some of the most horrible things I've heard has come from liberal these educated liberal types. You know, some of the most horrible things I've heard. Now, I had to go out and have dinner with them and hoddy ho. And one of the things, you know, I was at this. I don't want to drop anyone in this, and I don't want to mention any names. I'm at a dinner. I'm at a dinner. We were in Erbil in northern Iraq. I'm sat at this table, right, and it was like a Thai restaurant, but you don't get everything as you can in Erbil in Iraq. So like they had like spaghetti and they were passing it off as noodles. It was nice. It wasn't anything to write home about. And so we're all sat there. I think there was about 6 or 7 at the table. And we're talking about like when things go wrong, because we had officers in Mosul, we had officers in Syria. Well, we had an office in Mosul, an office in Baghdad, an office in Manbij, and which is in Syria, and an office in Kobani, which is also in Syria. So we was talking about when things go wrong, and one of the guys said, the main thing I always got taught as soon as I left university, whatever happens, always have someone else to blame. And then they were all toasting to having someone else to blame. Now, me from the military, I was thinking like, well, hang on a minute. Like, that's your mantra, always have someone else to blame. Like, and now you see this, don't you, in government? Because these are the same type of people. So now you see this in government, like just zero integrity. And literally, if anything happens, they just blame someone else. Oh, no, I inherited this. It wasn't me, it was them. Oh, no, it wasn't, it was them. And you're like, all right, okay, what's happening? And that's the system we've set up. That's the system we've set up because it's full of people with no integrity. You know, because it's full of people with no integrity. If someone does say, yeah, I'll hold my hand up, that was me. He's got to resign. He's got to resign. When actually, that's the person you want to stay because that person has integrity. Now, in the military, there were lots of there were lots of fuck up guys. No, believe me, all right. Like from like weapon systems being left in foreign countries to people dropping. I'm not going to mention what, like not bits of equipment out of helicopters and just smashing on the floor. All sorts of wild stuff used to happen in the military, and you would say, right, who did this? And you would say, right, it's an integrity call. You say, yeah. I say, right, Raven, come here. Right, you need to get it dealt with. Deal with it. Right, your two mates, go and take them. Go and deal with it. You know, and that'd get done. It's all about integrity. And I just, you know, and one of the problems with our system, not the politicians, because if there was a better system, if there was a better system set up, it wouldn't encourage. What's the opposite to integrity? Non-integrity. It wouldn't encourage this type of spinelessness that you're getting right now. So just imagine. Let's do a switch reverse now. If an MP makes a mistake, and they're like, "Oh God," and they put their hands up, like, "Yeah, listen, guys, this is my bad. I was wrong on this." That MP straight away is out. He needs to resign. He's incompetent. When actually he's showing integrity. Same MP, right? What's happened? Wasn't me. It was him over there. He's not showing integrity. He's not showing leader, or she not showing leadership. But that MP will probably stay. So you see how the system's broken. And this is what I always say: voting for another set of wheels on your broken car isn't going to fix your car, whether you think it will or not. Right, let me get, guys, listen, I am going to cut this short tonight. I am going to cut this short this morning. But I am going to be back on, later on this afternoon to talk about the protest, the march in London, I guess. Martin Quinn is saying it's really bad weather in North Wales. I'm on my way back to Yorkshire. Flood starts. Are we being serious? There's a weather alert right now, guys. Am I totally living in a cave here? Let me check the weather. Have I been living in a cave? No, I've got no weather alerts. I've got a weather alert for tomorrow. Yellow warning of wind. Oh, yeah. All right. So there's a yellow warning of wind tomorrow. I've got nothing for today, guys. Right, Google it. You're gonna have to send me. Google is sending a joke here. I'm just gonna read it out what Google is saying, because Googly's got a joke, but he's wrote it in like 4 messages. Right, I'm gonna read them all now, guys. Right, there's a joke going around. Labour MPs over the past weekend were handed 3 envelopes in Soviet Russian. Whenever you run into trouble, open them in order. The instruction goes: blame your predecessor. A year later, the problem arises again. He opens envelope 2. It says, restructure your organization. He's following the envelopes. He opens envelope 3. It says, prepare 3 envelopes. Envelope 3 hasn't occurred yet. That's phase 3. Oh, right. Okay, right. I've got it. Right. Okay, now I've got it. Okay, I've got it. Envelope 3 comes when a crisis happens. Right. Okay, now I'm getting it. Well, do you know what, Google? Actually, although we said that's a joke, that actually fits in, doesn't it? With the the crisis phase and having the masses of subversion that are being thrown on the country. Debbie 1973 saying, good morning, everyone. Lord of Language saying, I just like the opposition to ask, how has the black hole doubled when they said it was their fault? Yeah, when they said it's our fault, actually. Yeah, I don't think this black hole was ever a thing. I don't even think there is a, like, you know, this black hole. Corey for this saying Charlie Kirk's wife's done a statement. God, yeah, that was difficult to watch, guys. That was difficult to watch if anybody's watched that. CC Outdoors is saying it's sunny and warm in Northumberland. Would you open an envelope? What's come from the Kremlin? You will get a free virus. I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I've got to be very careful about what I say about people from other countries, guys. I just get the live stream in. Right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining for the first time, we have been talking about masses of British countryside are going to be given to migrants for free. Now, I've been talking about this for quite a while, and I have seen this coming in the weeds, but this morning there was I think it was this morning or last night. I only saw it this morning. There's something going through in the United Kingdom right now. There's the Kabbalah tribe, which is, I think it's one dude and two girls, and they're claiming part of the Scottish countryside as their own land. He's claiming he's king of the Kabbalah tribe. I mean, there's only three of them. It's a bit of a show at the moment. I think they're from Ghana. They're claiming Scottish countryside as their own. Now, again, it's a bit, you know, we're all like, oh, look how silly that is. Now, when you double this up with the things that I've been saying previously about adverse possession, and you look at the actual legal framework here in the United Kingdom, if you live in the United Kingdom, the law says if you occupy land, if you can prove you've occupied land for 10 years, then you can apply for something called adverse possession. If you've occupied that for 12 years, I think that's yours automatically. Although I'm not 100% on that, but I know after 10 years, adverse possession law in the United Kingdom is that if you've been on that land for 10 years, you can claim it's yours. So although this incident now with the Kabbalah tribe on the Scottish borders, it's all over the media, there's been court orders, etc., etc., etc. Here's the question. Do we think there are people in the United Kingdom right now who would claim to have lived in an obscure part of the woodland, an obscure piece of woodland for 10 years, if they could get given that land for free? I would say there is. Next question. Do we think there are legal firms who are willing to assist those migrants in putting in that adverse possession challenge to the government? I would say there is. So we're coming up to that time right now, guys, where I think we are going to see legal cases of migrants living in the countryside claiming that they've been living, or maybe they have been living there, I don't know, claiming they've been living there for 10 years and claiming adverse possession. I don't know if adverse possession, if you can claim adverse possession as an illegal migrant. I don't think there's any caveat in that adverse possession. Remember, these are ancient laws, and we have new modern problems. And these ancient laws, and this is a problem that we have because we don't have a constitution, these ancient laws will still be applicable. And I don't think in those ancient laws it said this is only relevant to people who have, you know, citizenship of the United Kingdom. I just don't think it was. I just don't think they ever thought of it. So I do think that's coming, guys. I really do. I really do think that's funny. Right, let me. I'm just going to get the rest of the comments, guys. Sharon Owen is saying, good morning, Sharon Owen. Debbie is saying, I would like some free land, paid taxes since 16 and want to have animals and be self-sufficient. Yeah, I mean, isn't that the dream right now for everyone? Just that, like, wouldn't everybody just like to say, do you know what, guys? I mean, this is, you know, look, let me pin this. So Debbie, 1973, saying, I'd like some free land. Oh, where did that go? So Debbie, 1970, it's not approved. Debbie's comment's not approved. This is so weird, guys. Debbie, 1973, said, I'd like to have some free land, and that comment's not approved. That is weird. Debbie 1973, your comment's not approved. I can see it, but I don't know. The algorithm on TikTok is absolutely unbelievable. What I will say though is Debbie's saying she'd like to have some free land. Would you like to go down to Antarctica? Does Antarctica seem more? Is Antarctica seem more palatable now? Martin Quinn is saying, wait till winter, see how their tribal fire keeps burning. Yeah, I don't think they're going to last the winter in Scotland. And Google is saying Obama used the 3 envelopes too. Search the 3 Russian. Right, I'm going to do the 3 Russian envelopes joke at some point, guys. I need to. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start to close this down in a minute. I'll be closing it down on. I'll be closing down on TikTok, and I'll be closing down on. YouTube as well. I will be back later. I think I'm going to be on about 12:30 or maybe 12 once this march has started in London. As I understand it, the march in London starts at 10:30, and I think they're playing the video at like 3:30. Then they're playing that at 3:30. So I think. Sean, yes, Sean, get a coach organised for Antarctica. We're all ready. Look, guys, I genuinely believe that's going to happen. I don't see any other way around it. But look, guys, I'm going to start to close this down in a minute. If you've not done so already, ladies and gentlemen, please go and follow me on YouTube, on X, on TikTok. So whatever platform you guys are watching on, please go and share the other platforms. I'm a Real Raven 1 on all of those platforms. I'll just get a couple of comments here off YouTube. Templar Matt is saying, if people enter a country illegally and start taking land, isn't that an invasion? I mean, I would say it's an invasion, Matt, but it's like they're doing it through the legal system. And look, and we all think this is so absurd and so weird and so wild, but let's not forget, you only need to subvert a few judges, and those judges that are subverted, you only need to, or maybe even you've paid those judges off. If you want to cause chaos and carnage in the United Kingdom, that is the absolute way that you do it. 100%, that's the way that you do it, guys, okay? So you've got to take all these things into consideration. Prabowo, the greatest president of Indonesia, is saying Malayadesh. I don't speak whatever language that is. I don't speak that. I can only. I don't know what that means. Tim Linsky is saying, just watch your last video. All my long things. That's sites are 7. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So last night we was talking about the rifle. I guess we was talking about the rifle that was used in allegedly used in the Charlie Kirk murder assassination. Just straight away, the thing that I was thinking is the site. It was far too far back. There was a lot of question marks over that rifle. I don't know if those questions. And I did. In fact, hang on. Let me ask AI. Give me a second. Let me ask AI, because I asked AI last night and it gave me a real weird answer. Right. It's really weird. It's really weird, this, guys, how nobody else is mentioning the site. False information about the rifle. Multiple conspiracy theorists and pieces of misinformation circulating widely in the aftermath. Wrong suspect photo, engravings claim, actual inscriptions. There's nothing. I don't. All right, I don't listen, guys. I don't need artificial intelligence to tell me that that site was too far back. And I'm really shocked how nobody. I've not seen anybody else. Let me re-ask this question. What was wrong with the optics? I mean, he might just have a weird neck. I don't think he had. Very strange. Very strange. I'm going to leave that there, guys. I'm going to do a little bit of digging on this. I'm surprised that there's not articles written about this, because maybe it is in the right space. Maybe it is in the right space. Maybe that's just how he had it. I mean, to me, when I looked at that rifle, those sights were far too far back. I might be wrong, guys. I might be wrong. That's just how he might put his head. But to me, he would have had to have his head far too far forward, and that would have hit him in the eye. That's just me saying it, guys. That's just me saying it. Winnie is saying that's why they have allowed the super mosque thing in the Lake District. God help the locals. The Lake District will be a concrete tip in less than 5 years. Starmer is a disgusting human. I think what Winnie's talking about there is the countryside, how, you know, the countryside is now deemed to be racist, and I don't know, it's too white. It's too white, the countryside, guys. I honestly don't know what, like, I honestly, like, and look, guys, if you're, you know, I don't think this is coming from any minority. I think this is being pushed by liberal white people, liberal Fabians who are wanting to cause carnage and chaos. Like, you know, when you go on a walk in the countryside, you know, when you're there, you've been out for a couple of hours, are you thinking like, oh God, I wish there was a taxi rank and a chicken shop? Is that what you're thinking? I know I'm not. You know, I have a cheese sandwich, or, you know, maybe a cheese baguette in my backpack. So, like, they're saying that there's not enough diverse food. And I'm thinking, like, what does that even mean? Literally, what does that mean? And it comes down to the paradox of diversity. That would be a good title, wouldn't it? So the paradox of diversity is, if you make everything the same, you've got no diversity because everything's the same. So I totally understand the phrase, you know, I totally understand the phrase, you know, diversity is strength, which it is, because if you have 4 people on a team and everybody thinks the same, you won't really have a strong solution base, because you'll all be coming up with the same solutions. So if you have, I don't know, a plumber, a bricklayer, an electrician, and a welder, you know, that team is going to be stronger than if you have 4 plumbers, or if you have 4 bricklayers. So I do get the phrase diversity is strength. But when you've got, I don't know, a plumber, a bricklayer, an electrician, and a welder, and you're told, right, we don't need you to, we need you to because you've got a different skin color, that's not strength. That's literally the opposite. So I totally get that. So if we start to make the countryside like everywhere else, there's going to be no diversity. So do you see the paradox of diversity? Sorry, guys, I went off on one then. James is saying all the sheep are white. Is that racist? Well, they're not. You do get black sheep. Fida Cahol is saying, why don't you address the fact that the English countryside is all privately owned by the wealthy who are trying so hard this day to take away rambling rights? Yeah, I mean, it is disgusting, actually. I like the amount of countryside that's owned by aristocrats who do nothing, like absolutely nothing. They've never worked a day in their life. They've just been handed stuff down through inheritance and they don't do anything. And most of the countryside in the United Kingdom is owned by these wealthy landowners and they don't do anything. And I totally agree with Frida Kahlo. Kohler. Am I saying that right? Kohler? I hope I'm pronouncing your second name right. And you know, she's saying that, you know, the whole of the English countryside is, well, not the whole, not, it's not all privately owned. I know it's not all privately owned, but I know what Frida means. A lot of the British countryside is owned by wealthy landowners, and these landowners don't do anything. And it is, I don't know how you get around that. I really don't know how you get around that. I mean, we could even talk about how most of America, well, I think the biggest landowner I think it actually is the biggest landowner in America is the royal family. I may be slightly wrong. I may be getting this wrong, but I don't think, you know, let's ask AI. As I understand it, I'll say that. As I understand it, the royal family are the biggest landowner in America, because after the American Civil War, one of the agreements was that they would let the monarchy keep a ton of land, and the monarchy would leave, but we still own that land. So yeah, land ownership is massive. And you know, you can't, like, land's a fantastic thing. If you buy land, it's never going to lose money. You don't have to upkeep anything, you know, and land's a better investment. Watcher Harrison is saying Bill Gates is the biggest landowner. I don't think he is. I think he's the biggest official landowner. But if you actually look into it, the royal family I think the royal family are actually, if you look into it, the biggest landowner. Right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, guys, I am going to close this down now on TikTok. I'm going to continue streaming on YouTube for a little bit. Remember, I'm going to be back about, I think, 12 o'clock, maybe 12:30, certainly no later than 12:30. And we're going to be talking about what's been happening in London, what's happening in London, and what craziness is happening there. It's the Free Speech Festival. There's Stand Up to Racism marches. We've got like an absolutely divided country at the moment, and those divisional forces, I guess, are gonna meet in London today. So I'm gonna be doing a live stream at, like I said, before 12:30, I hope, and we're gonna be talking about that. The crux of this live stream, guys, it was just, you know, just a little warning about the British countryside. I believe we're gonna start to give that. Well, we're not gonna start to give it. Migrants are gonna start to put in adverse possession laws. Claims, and lots of that countryside will be given to those migrants. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down on TikTok now. I will be open on. I will continue on YouTube for a little bit, and then I'll be gone. So if you're not jumping over on YouTube, please like, follow, and subscribe, because we're going to be jumping back on later and covering the marches in London. Right, we're off. We are off. Philip, is just saying all together now. All right. Oh, Tommy. Frida is saying correct. Royal family mostly owned, which is a shame, really. I don't know how. And look, Frida, I will be like free. We're talking about land ownership here, and look, I want to be quite clear about this. When we had a queen, I like the queen, you know. Now we've got the king, you know. You start to look at the royal family and you think, like, what are they doing? Like, what do they do? Like, why are they there? And I'm not calling for anything. I just think a conversation needs to be had. What is the purpose of the monarchy? Like, what does the king do? My understanding was the king was in charge, Parliament did everything. And if the people were getting angry about something, the king would step in. Surely that not Overton window. Surely those triggers have been met, and the king should be stepping in. So if he's not stepping in, what is the purpose? What, a serious question. What is the purpose of the royal family? Freddie is saying we're using a mobile CCTV. We're using a mobile CCTV van to help monitor the build-up of crowds. The force added. Officials have been asked if it's using live facial recognition. Of course, they're using live facial recognition. There's been a massive don't cover your faces. Don't cover your faces. All walk down this corridor. All walk down this corridor. Make sure you're walking down this corridor with your faces not covered. Of course, that's going to happen. And Peter Lloyd is saying, have you noticed him? Right, is it raining in London right now? Let me check. A few people have said this. Let me weather London. Let me check the weather in London. No, it's. I mean. Right, there's so many. Right, okay, I'm not. Right, I'll just. I'll put Westminster. No, it's not. It's not. Well, on my app here, it's not. It's not raining in London, so I don't know. Maybe it'll rain later. I don't know. Sharon Owen, Sharon Owen's saying hey, and hey back to you, Sharon Owen. And Peter Lloyd is saying was raining there early on. It doesn't look like it's raining now in London. It might rain later on. I don't know. Right, guys, listen, I am going to cut this short again today. I am going to be back on later on. Like I said, before I'd like to think I'm going to be back on live, before 12:30. Literally going to run to the shop. I'm going to get some chicken nuggets, put them in the air fryer, bring the washing in, and then I'll be back on the live stream and we'll be focusing on what's happening in London. So I am going to close this down now, guys. Just as keep that in the back of your mind, though, guys, about the keep that in the back of your mind about that adverse possession law, because I do think that's coming in the United Kingdom, and I do think it'll be given as well. Anyway, guys, I will see you later.